This transcription is taken from a secret email that is apparently sent each and every day from the White House and is signed by President Barack Obama. This email was acquired by pure accident and based on the facts presented, it is the most eye-opening announcement that can be stated publicly. Louis Farrakhan has been quoted on television as saying, "Kill all whites." This email confirms that all of what we are hearing and finding out is originating from President Barack Obama's own mouth. It is to be understood that this was President Obama's intention from the beginning in 2008 when he won the election for president. It has culminated into the present event that we now see happening all around us in the United States. The race war is coming. Shortly after Ferguson and the riots that took place, the blacks began waving and screaming out "Kill whites and fry them like bacon." Now this email also verifies many things that still have been completely unknown to most Americans, especially whites. As a further reference point before this transcription begins, in 2009 after President Barack Obama was sworn in as president, the black community celebrated and screamed into television cameras in public streets, "He's going to pay my bills, he's going to pay my bills." Since that time, it has never been clearly understood why there is a consistent increase happening of violence and persistent attack on those things that the blacks feel are offensive. One such subject is on the Confederate flag and the very fact that the Confederacy even existed. The black community has begun a systematic attack on those things relating to the Confederacy even beyond the flag. The black community is now attacking monuments and anything else that relates to the Confederate Army. Where does all of this come from, you ask? One person who has been silent in the past few months if not years is the Ref. Al Sharpton. But that doesn't mean that he isn't in the background, talking. Irrational behavior and mental deterioration of our society has now been proven by the fact that Obama himself speaks to the black community on a daily basis from the White House, but not in the way that you or I would expect that he does. How does he do this? By using emails to text people's telephones and send messages directly to their home computers. This transcription is only one of thousands if not millions he has set since 2009. Here is only one example of how he has created and incited violence since 2009 when he became the President of the United States. From the office of the President of the United States to all black citizens and or subversive forces to make up the sovereign army of Negro socialists in America. Today I must congratulate everyone on their continued efforts to initiate what I've been trying to do since the re-election in 2012, the initiation of martial law. You've all done an excellent job in keeping all the facts completely silent and out of the public's awareness, the white populace that is, because if you notice on the news, the media never mentions any kind of pattern or similarity to things happening right now. For me to help create this martial law enactment, we all must work even harder to get this thing started because I only have 11 months left before this joke called a republic initiates another president. You all did the job in 2012 getting me re-elected even though all the polls and all the results that were done by the media showed that Mitt Romney went hands down. But you know better, don't you, my fellow legions? Killing pigs was not the first stage of this, and you know that to be true, because I told you before that this isn't about just one particular group, it's about an entire race, the whites themselves. We wanted retribution and we've been saying it for 150 years now, and thanks to you, it's about to all come to fruition. As we continue this race to its completion, we must not give up on our endeavors to keep me in power and in this Oval Office. Most of America is blind because they don't listen. They live in their own little world of indifference. The more you can do to help this illusion prosper and increase, the faster that I can get martial law started in the United States. You know what I've been doing since I became the president. I pay all your bills, given you food stamps, given you everything you've wanted including more welfare. But if it's all going to work in the future, we've got to keep these dummies blind, in the dark, and domicile. If any of your friends doesn't get this email, you should text it forwarded to him immediately because every one of us has to do his part no matter what it is, how hard it is to do. A lot of people have died since this whole thing started, and you know that if it's going to be a success, a lot more things is going to happen before I can start the final stage. As you know already, the Reverend Albert Sharpton is now residing in the White House with me, Michelle and the girls. Of course nobody knows this because I'm not going to tell him. But it is about how it's been working all along. If you don't tell them, they don't care. Even my friend and confidant, Louis Farrakhan, is help at all on the whole process by making public speeches to help incite even more and more hatred. If some of you are losing your guts to go to with this, it's too late to pull out now. You're in it for the long haul, no matter how long it takes. I laugh every day when I hear these radio talk show hosts trying to tell this dumb and uncaring society the true facts of what's going on. All they can do is try to give the facts and the truth, but you got deaf ears hearing it all. In the very near future, I start sending you all more of the videos cited earlier in my win for re-election. They show you how to continue the incitement we have begun and how to go beyond just the scope of what we've started thus far. I'll be texting you every day, so be looking for them. Hey, but don't forget that we can let the honkies find out about this, so delete any you get as soon as you read them. If you have forward one, be sure to delete it where I showed you in an earlier video. That way Noon can't link me to this. It's better that you see what I expect of you than just you reading it. Technology has its ups and downs, but the worst part of it is that it's an ever-increasing headache to control what we give out in such a way that the whites don't hear it or see it themselves. But we're not going to give up on that, because we know this is a fight to the finish. We've got a job to do, and we're all in this thing together. My personal friend, the Reverend Wright, said it best in this recent statement I heard him say, "The chickens have come home to roost." What an adept statement that was, wasn't it? My current campaign continues to be to abolish and eliminate all firearms in the United States. That stupid piece of crumbling paper called the Constitution continues to stop me because of one amendment, the second one. But the more that I do, the more you see how indifferent society is to what I do. That laughable joke called Congress just does whatever I tell them to. If I tell them jump, they ask me how high. If I say squat, they say how low. They're all puppets in my hand. As our great leader once said, I may not get there with ye, but I want you to know tonight that we, as a people, will get to the promised land. I'm not worrying about any man, mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. You know who he was talking about, don't you? Yeah, me. In conclusion to my email today, I can only say to you all that we all keep up the good fight. Don't give in to personal weaknesses, and keep watch on the news every day, because I'm giving you all little hints and facts in between the lines of what the media reports to you. So listen and learn. This is your Messiah, Barack Hussein Obama, thanking you all again for doing your parts to keep this whole thing going to its completion. Talk to you all tomorrow. To all recipients, once you have read this email or text message from the President, you are advised to destroy it from your email message list, and do not attempt to save anything out of fears of piracy of such information that might leak into the hands of those white citizens who might read it. The following email was sent from the whitehouse.gov to an undisclosed number of recipients who make up an individual organization of citizens known as the Sovereign Army of Negro Socialists in America. Beyond this being an eye-opening fact, it should be also noted that there could be pacifists who also received this email or of other races. The only shocking fact is that it has taken this long to obtain just one of these emails. If you, as an American citizen, find this hard to believe, turn on your news tonight and ask yourself, where is all this stupidity coming from? The next time you watch President Obama stating something on television, ask yourself, is he saying something else to someone else besides me?
This is actually the ending of his actual email, but we still have a few more minutes left to try and do an actual text outline of what was stated in it. So to end this video, I decided I would actually make this little audio commentary to explain to all of you that if you think it's a joke of what is happening in this country, or if you just can't explain it but you want to stick your head in the ground and say, well, I think it's all a coincidence, then you're the one that's living in another world, because this country and this nation faces a complete and utter obliteration from many different forces. We're about to allow 1,500 of these insurgent refugees to come into the United States from Turkey, from Syria. And you know what? you can't do any kind of background check on these folks before they come in here. So the United States is just going to kind of like do like we were doing before 9/11. Let them come in here, do whatever they want to, give them free airplane training, all the rest, and then what do they do with the technology? They turned around and used it against us. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen with ISIS. They're sending and planting insurgents inside the United States through these refugees. And Obama just kind of like acts as though it's not happening. He acts as though when you say these things, you're a nutcase. But when it all starts happening, I think we're probably going to find out that he himself is probably sending out those command orders from the White House itself. I think he's the one that's probably behind this whole thing to instigate the next stage of terrorism within the United States, because that's why we haven't heard of any attacks here in the United States, because they know they have one of their own people who's in control of our entire nation. So if he's there, then they don't need to try and wage war against the United States anymore. That's the most obvious fact of why so many things have been happening since 9/11. When he was elected in 2008, within a year or so after that, he brags that he found Osama bin Laden. And in reality, it wasn't him that did it. It was a lot of other people before him, especially George W. Bush, who actually did that. Another thing and another question to ask yourself is he really dead? There's no photographs of Osama bin Laden. There's a picture of his casket, they say, being thrown over the edge of the boat into the water. And to this day, he could very likely still be alive somewhere in either Saudi Arabia, Syria. He could be in Iran. And we'll never know, because they claim there was no possible way to photograph his body or his face. And funny, isn't it, that when Hussein's two sons died, they had 500,000 or 600,000 photographs of their faces plastered on the internet. And then when Hussein died from hanging, they had his picture up there. So what's so different about showing someone who murdered 3,000 people in the United States and saying, well, it was too gory or too graphic to show that? And then, on top of that, you have these Navy SEALs who were involved in the operation, most of who, by the way, died in that helicopter crash, if not all of them. And there's no explanation from the White House since about why that happened. Why are there no witnesses left to what happened to those individuals who were there and saw supposedly Osama bin Laden being killed? So there's no evidence of anything. It could either be Obama who's doing all of this, or it could be Obama, his superior, which is Osama bin Laden, and he could be somewhere hiding, and he's pushing Obama's buttons and saying, you're in there because I put you there, and now the next step of this is to instigate martial law so that then our religion can be forced on the American people, because when they force you to live a certain way and to stay at home without their permission to go out and work or do anything else, the next stage of that is submission to a one-world religion. And the Muslims have been gaining ground on this for a very long time, about a subjugation and a forced acceptance of their religious beliefs. And you look at what they do. They kill without question. And what does Obama do? Well, we're not here to fight against the Muslims. Well, guess what? They're fighting against us. Are we supposed to just stretch forth our neck and let them cut it off? Because that's what they're doing. And Obama has an attitude of indifference to what the Muslims are doing, what the Islamic jihad is all about. And why is that? Because in one word, he's one himself. That's all there is to it. So, in completion to this video, I say to everybody watching, it's time for you as an American to take a stand and stand up for your rights, what there are of them, because very soon, next year, Obama's going to take it all back. And when he does, there ain't going to be nothing left for you to fight with, especially our military, because they're already subjected to him now.